When starting a worm business in limited space, a very common question is, how do I set up my worm business? What layout do I choose? What type of bins do I choose? Because the space is limited, but you want to maximize your production. So, hi, I'm White Davy, and in today's video, I'll be showing you my setup, the system that I use. Now, for each person, as you go online and you look at various people setup, you will see that each one has something different. What you choose is not dependent on what others are doing. It is dependent on the space that you have, and it is also dependent on what works for you personally, because everybody's circumstances is different, even if it has a lot of similarities. So this is my setup. So for me, I do both vermicomposting and I do vermiculture. So the way I set up in this small space is I have a complete system, right? So at the top here, you'll notice my breeder bins. And all of these are the starting bins. And when these are ready for harvesting, then these will be restarted. And over here is where the worms are allowed to grow out. Now, what happens when these bins are all full and I don't have enough over on the other side? I just show you to put the new cocoons. What I do is put it in the vermicomposting bins. So my bin down here, it is a foot deep and 30 inches wide, 8 feet long, and all of my setup is exactly the same. I also have totes, lots of different size totes behind here in another room in that direction. So all of my setup is like this. When I've maximized both the vermicomposting bin and the breeder bin and the grow up bin, then I put the other worms into it. I have multiple systems set up like this. So breeder bins at the top, vermicomposting bin in the middle, and if you look from the side, you will see that the vermicomposting bin is a lot wider than the breeder bin, because if you make the breeder bin come out to the same height or the same width as your vermicomposting bin, what is going to happen is that when you are to reach over to tend to the other side of your bin, then you're going to be bumping your head. So for that reason, I set this back a bit so that I can work freely without accidents. Now, that is not all. When I set up my system, I want it to be complete. And so on the sides, I have the storage area where I keep the hand tools that I use and my labels and pens, tie straps, anything that I'm going to be using to maintain this whole setup is kept here. And I elevate this off the ground where, in case it gets cold, because this area is unheated, so it is elevated off the ground. But that's not the only reason. It is elevated off the ground because when I harvest castings from here, any castings that's not sold fast enough get stored underneath here. So you see, it is a complete system. Tools, storage down at the end. We have the breeder bins, we have the vermicomposting bin, and underneath we have storage. So why am I showing you this? Just so you can get an idea, because I've never seen a setup like this. This one was designed by me, but most people tend to ask, how do they set up? And I see when people are just getting started out, they go to places like Home Depot or one of those sort of stores, and they buy shelves and they put their breeder bins on it, and the shelves between the upper layer and the top of the bin has so much wasted space that it is not funny. So having a setup like this makes it is very practical because one, you're not wasting a lot of space. I have like 1 inch clearance on the side, nearly an inch clearance on the top, and that is good enough for me. Now there's another setup similar to this that you can use where, let me show you, where the bins are resting directly on these side pieces. So this is another one of my setup. When I run out of breeder bins space over in the warmer section, then I come over here. This is also my greenhouse. Yes, so when you are thinking about what type of setup to choose, don't just think in terms of what you see others doing. Think in terms of what are your circumstances, what will allow you to maximize the space that you have, and then that is going to determine the type of setup that you choose. Are you looking to start a worm farming business and struggling with limited space, wondering how you can set it up, wondering how you can expand your business, how you can maximize the space, how you can gain clients, and overall how you can make your business successful? If so, why not become a part of our wormpreneur communities, where we have monthly training, we have discussions, you can ask your questions, you can become a part of a community that help each other, that support each other, and we also have live discussion as well. So if you're interested, check the description below for the link, and I hope to see you in our community. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have yourself a wonderful day. Yeah man, a time for grow.